Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chet Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 60, Lord Krishna teases Queen Rukmini. So Krishna teased Queen Rukmini, and he was kind of telling her that you didn't make a good decision of marrying me. And he kind of counted all the faults that he has, just trying to tease her. And Rukmini Devi first, she started crying, then she fell unconscious. She was brought back into consciousness, and then she started speaking. Yes, whatever you said is true, but actually the actual meaning is something else. So she further speaks. Tvam vai samasta purushartha maya phalatma yadvanchaya sumatayo visrijanti krishnam tesham vibho samuchito bhavatah samaja punsa sriyascha ratyo sukh dukhe norna. You are the embodiment of all human goals and are yourself the final aim of life. Desiring to attain you, O all-powerful Lord, intelligent persons abandon everything else. It is they who are worthy of your association, not men and women absorbed in the pleasure and grief resulting from their mutual lust. So Krishna had said in text 15 that marriage and friendship are proper between two people who are equal in terms of their wealth, birth, influence, physical appearance, and capacity for good progeny, but never between a superior and an inferior. In fact, only those who have given up all such material conceptions of sense gratification and have taken exclusively to the Lord's loving service can understand who their real friend and companion is, Lord Krishna himself. So he said it's better to be an equal, and she is saying, who can be equal to you? Nobody. Tvam nyasta danda muni bhir gaditanubhava atmatma dascha jagatam iti me vritvasi hitva bhavad bhru udirit kalavega dhasta shisho abja bhavana kapatin kuto anye. Knowing that great sages who have renounced the sannyasi danda proclaim your glories, that you are the supreme soul of all the worlds, and that you are so gracious that you give away even your own self, I chose you as my husband, rejecting Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the rulers of heaven, whose aspirations are all frustrated by the force of time, which is born from your eyebrows. What interest then could I have in any other suitor? This is Queen Rukmini's refutation of Lord Krishna's statement in text 16. There Krishna had said, Bhikshu Bhishlagita Mudha, I am glorified by beggars. But Queen Rukmini points out that those so-called beggars are actually sages in the Paramhansa stage of life, sannyasis, who have reached the highest level of spiritual advancement and thus given up the sannyasi rod. So they are the ones who actually approach you, not any beggar. Lord Krishna also made two specific accusations against his wife. He said, Vedarbi etat advigyaya, avigyaya. My dear Vedarbi, you're not aware of the situation. And Tvaya dirgha samikshaya, because you lack foresight. In the present verse, Rukmini's statement, iti me vritovasi, indicates, I chose you as my husband because you possess the above mentioned qualities. It was not a blind choice at all. So Rukmini Devi is saying that I did all my analysis and then I chose you. Rukmini further mentions that she passed over lesser personalities like Lord Brahma Brahma, Shiva, and the rulers of heaven, because she saw that even though materially speaking, they are great personalities, but they're frustrated by the powerful waves of time. And time is what? Which emanate from the eyebrows of Lord Krishna. Just a movement of eyebrows of Krishna. I mean, it's just a figurative way of saying, but all it means is everything is controlled by Krishna. Therefore, far from lacking foresight, Rukmini chose Lord Krishna after an exhaustive appraisal of the entire cosmic situation. Thus, she lovingly rebukes her husband here. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur interprets Rukmini's mood as follows. My dear husband, your accusation that I lack foresight indicates that you did know of my deep insight into the situation. Actually, I chose you because I knew of your true glories. Text 40. Jadyam vachastav gadagraj yastu bhupan vidravya sharnena dena jahartaman tvam simho yatha svabalimish pashuna subhagam tebhyo bhayad yadu dadhim sharanam prapannaha. My lord, as a lion drives away lesser animals to claim his proper tribute, you drove off the assembled kings with the resounding twang of your sharn bow and then claimed me your fair share. Thus it is sheer foolishness, my dear Gadagraja, for you to say you took shelter in the ocean out of fear of those kings. So this was Krishna's point, that terrified of those kings, we went to the ocean for shelter. According to the Acharyas, Lord Krishna finally provoked Rukmini's anger by glorifying other men who might have been her husband. And thus, in an agitated mood, she here tells him that she is not ignorant, but rather that he has spoken foolishly. She states, like a lion, you abducted me in the presence of those kings and drove them away with your sharn bow. So it is simply foolishness to say that out of fear of those same kings, you went to the ocean. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as Queen Rukmini spoke these words, she frowned and cast angry sidelong glances at the Lord. So this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's realizations, or this is what been revealed to him. Yadvanchya nripashikha manyo anya vanya jayandanahu shabda yade ekya patyam rajyam visrijya vivishur vanam ambujaksha sidanti te anupadvim ta ihastita kim. Wanting your association, the best of kings, Anga, Vanya, Jayant, Nahusha, Gaya, and others abandoned their absolute sovereignty and entered the forest to seek you out. How could those kings suffer frustration in this world, O Lotusite one? Here, Queen Rukmini refutes the ideas put forth by Lord Krishna in text 13. In fact, Srimati Rukmini Devi repeats Lord Krishna's own words. The Lord said, Asita padavim sutru praya sidanti yoshita. Women who follow my path generally suffer. Here, Rukmini Devi says, why should those fixed on your path suffer in this world? She gives the example of many great kings who renounce a powerful sovereignty to enter the forest where they performed austerities and worshiped the Lord, intensely desiring his transcendental association. Thus, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srimati Rukmini Devi here intends to tell Shri Krishna, you have said that I, a king's daughter, am unintelligent and frustrated because I married you. But how can you accuse all these great enlightened kings of being unintelligent? They were the wisest of men, yet they gave up everything to follow you and were certainly not frustrated by the result. Indeed, they achieved the perfection of your association. So in fact, only the intelligent, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janmana mante jnanvan mam prapatet. Those who have knowledge, those who have intelligence, they are the ones, after many, many lives, they surrender unto me. So Rukmini Devi is trying to say the same thing. How can somebody suffer when they surrender unto you or follow you? They cannot. Only intelligent people can surrender. Kanyam Shre Tava Pada Saroj Gandham Maghaya Sanmukharitam Jantapa Vargam Lakshmialayam Tvavi Viganya Gunalayasya Martya Sadoru Bhaya Martha Vivikta Drishtihi. The aroma of your lotus feet, which is glorified by great saints, awards people liberation and is the abode of Goddess Lakshmi. What woman would take shelter of any other man after savoring that aroma? Since you are the abode of transcendental qualities, what mortal woman with the insight to distinguish her own interest would disregard that fragrance and depend instead on someone who is always subject to terrible fear? In text 16, Lord Krishna claimed that he was Gunera Hina, bereft of all good qualities. To refute this claim, the devoted Rukmini here states that Lord is Gunalaya. So he is the abode of all good qualities. In a single moment, the so-called powerful men of this world can be reduced to utter helplessness and confusion. Indeed, destruction is the inevitable fate of all powerful masculine bodies. The Lord, however, has an eternal spiritual body that is omnipotent and infinitely beautiful. And thus, as Queen Rukmini argues here, how could any sane, enlightened woman take shelter of anyone but the Supreme Lord, Krishna? So this is how devotees see the Lord. And demons see completely opposite, actually. Tam tvanu rupam bhajam jagatam adhisham atmanam atra cha paratra cha kama puram syanme tvangri raranam sritibhir brahmantaya yove bhajantam upayati anritapa varga. Because you are suitable for me, I have chosen you, the master and supreme soul of all the worlds, who fulfill our desires in this life and the next. May your feet, which give freedom from illusion by approaching the worshipper, give shelter to me, who have been wandering from one material situation to another. An alternate reading for the word Stribhi is Shrutibhi, in which case the idea Rukmini expresses is this. I have been bewildered by hearing from various religious scriptures about numerous rituals and ceremonies with the promises of fruitive results. Srila Sridhar Swami gives this explanation, while Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur give an additional idea Rukmini might express with the word Shrutibhi. My dear Lord Krishna, I was bewildered by hearing about your various incarnations. I heard that when you descended as Ram, you abandoned your wife Sita, and that in this life you abandoned the gopis. Thus, I was bewildered. So, different acharyas give different interpretations according to their realizations. But Rukmini Devi is basically saying that you are suitable for me, but I'm not sure if I'm suitable for you. It is understood that Srimati Rukmini Devi is the eternally liberated consort of Lord Krishna. But in these verses, she humbly plays the part of a mortal woman taking shelter of the Supreme Lord. Tasyasyurachyuta nripa bhavatopadishta strinam griheshu karagoshva vidala bhritya yatakarna moola marikarshan nopayaya yushvanta katha mrid virincha sabhasu gita. O infallible Krishna, let each of the kings you named become the husband of a woman whose ears have never heard your glories, which are sung in the assemblies of Shiva and Brahma. After all, in the households of such women, these kings live like asses, oxen, dogs, cats, and slaves. Wow. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, these fiery words of Queen Rukmini are a response to Lord Krishna's opening statement found in text 10. The Supreme Lord had said, "My dear princess, you were sought after by many kings as powerful as the rulers of planets. They were all abundantly endowed with political influence, wealth, beauty, generosity, and physical strength. According to Sridhar Swami, Queen Rukmini here speaks with anger, pointing her index finger at the Lord. She compares the so-called great princes to asses because they carry many material burdens, to oxen because they're always distressed while performing their occupational duties, to dogs because their wives disrespect them, to cats because they're selfish and cruel, and to slaves because they are servile in family affairs. They're acting like servants, taking care of their families. Such kings may appear desirable to a foolish woman who has not heard or understood the glories of Sri Krishna." Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that such kings are like asses because their wives sometimes kick them, like dogs because they behave inimically towards outsiders in order to protect their homes, and like cats because they eat the remnants left by their wives. Wow. Heavy. All these acharyas are really heavy when they give their commentaries. And they are talking about all these great kings, not just normal, ordinary people. And this is the situation of the kings. Tvakshma Shiromanak Kesha Pinad Dhamantar Mansa Sthirta Krimi Vit Kaf Vit Vatam Jivachvam Bhajati Kant Matir Vimoda Yate Padabja Makarand Maji Grati Stri. A woman who fails to relish the fragrance of the honey of your lotus feet becomes totally befooled, and thus she accepts as her husband or lover a living corpse covered with skin, whiskers, nails, head hair, and body hair, and filled with flesh, bones, blood, parasites, feces, mucus, bile, and air. Wow. Rukmini Devi is also heavy. It just opens our eyes. Here, Lord Krishna's chaste wife makes a quite unequivocal statement about material sense gratification based on the physical body. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse. On the authority of the statement, Sa vai pati syad akuto bhayasrayam. He indeed should become one's husband who can remove all fear. Shri Krishna is the real husband for all women at all times. Thus, a woman who worships someone else as her husband simply worships a dead body. But that doesn't mean Grihastha Ashram is a phony thing. No, it is there, but the real point is one has to serve and take care of husband and family. The worshipable person is only Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments further. Rukmini thus considered that although the sweetness of Lord Krishna's lotus feet is well known, and although he possesses an eternal body full of knowledge and bliss, foolish women reject him. An ordinary husband's body is covered on the outside by skin and hair, otherwise being filled with blood, feces, flesh, bile, and so on. It would be overwhelmed with flies and other vermin attracted by its bad smell and other offensive qualities. Actually, this was, there is a story of a king going for hunting in a forest, and in the forest he was thirsty, so he saw a hut nearby, and he went inside and he asked for water. A very beautiful girl opened the door, and she gave some water to the king. And she was beautiful. She was daughter of a sage. King got attracted to her, and king said, "Well, I'm attracted to you, and you're very beautiful. I want to marry you." The girl, since she was daughter of a sage, she was very realized person. She told the king, "Well, I'm not ready for marriage. Come back in 2 days." King said, "Okay, that's fair enough." So king came back in 2 days. For those 2 days, the girl, what she did, she took only purgatives to take out all the stuff inside. She vomited and passed stool and urine for 2 days completely. That's all she did. So the king, when he came, the girl had become very thin and haggardly, and she had lost all her luster. But what she did for 2 days, she collected all this vomit and the stool and urine in different baskets or different pots. The king came, and king again knocked at the door, and on the door the girl opened, and she wasn't that beautiful now. And the king said, "Well, I'm looking for that girl who was very beautiful, and I'm going to marry her." The girl said, "Well, actually, king, I'm the same girl, but I just separated my beauty from myself." King was surprised. "How can you separate your beauty? What are you talking about?" The girl took him to all these spots where she had collected the vomit and stool, and she said, "This is my beauty. It was inside me, and now it is outside me, and you don't think I'm beautiful because I was beautiful because of this." Then king learned his lesson. But this is what Rukmini Devi is also saying, that the girls who don't accept, women who fail to accept Krishna as her husband, they marry only a person who's covered by skin and whiskers and nails and head hair, body hair, and inside it's all filled up with flesh, bones, blood, parasites, feces, mucus, bile, and hair. And our body is actually that only. There's nothing else. It's just been formed in such a way. Basically, the facial elements are formed in such a way, and some skin color, and it just looks attractive. Otherwise, there's nothing attractive in the body. And definitely it's not attractive if Krishna, as Paramatma, leaves the body, because when he leaves, the soul has to leave. And then when both are gone, then this body is not at all attractive. That's why we cremate the body or bury the body. It's not at all attractive. So real attractive portion is Krishna. Or because of Krishna and the soul present inside the body looks attractive. Otherwise, there's no attraction. But this part, nobody tries to understand. And further it says, those who have no practical experience of the beauty and purity of Krishna or of Krishna consciousness may be confused by such uncompromising denunciations of material bodily gratification. But those who are enlightened in Krishna consciousness will be enlivened and enthused by such absolutely truthful and actually hard-hitting statements. Astvam buddhaksha mamate charananuraga atmanratasya mai chan ati rikta drishte yarhyasya vridhya upattarajo atimatro mamikshase tadu hana paramanukampa. O lotus-eyed one, although you are satisfied within yourself and thus rarely turn your attention toward me, please bless me with steady love for your feet. It is when you assume a predominance of passion in order to manifest the universe that you glance upon me, showing me what is indeed your greatest mercy. In text 20 of this chapter, Lord Krishna stated, always satisfied within ourselves. We are nothing for wives, children, and wealth. Here Rukmini Devi humbly replies, yes, you take pleasure within yourself and therefore rarely look at me. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that Lord Krishna had already declared his love for Rukmini. I'm also thinking about her when he told that Brahman, so much so that I cannot sleep at night. Lord Krishna is satisfied within himself. And if you remember that Srimati Rukmini Devi is his internal potency, we can understand that his loving affairs with her are expressions of his pure spiritual happiness. But Rukmini Devi, although she is his internal potency, she is humbly taking this position as a servant. And she is saying, you don't need me. And you hardly look at me. But whenever you lay your glance on me, it's your special mercy on me. Here, however, Queen Rukmini humbly identifies herself with the Lord's external energy, which is her expansion. Therefore, she says, though you do not often look at me, when you are ready to manifest the material universe and thus begin to work through the material quality of passion, which is your potency, you glance at me. In this way, you show me your greatest mercy. The Acharya Vishwanath explains that Goddess Rukmini's statement can be understood in two ways. And of course, the Vaishnavas, after thoroughly understanding the philosophy of Krishna, simply relish these loving affairs between the Lord and his exalted devotees. So such a humble position Rukmini Devi is taking. So how humble we should be in front of Krishna and trying to serve him. Even in front of the maid servants, Rukmini Devi was serving Krishna herself. So we should be very much eager to serve Krishna. Who are we? We are just Tatastha Shakti. And she is the internal potency of Krishna. Nevalik maham manye vachaste madhusudan ambaya eva hi praya kanyaya syad rati kuchit. Actually, I don't consider your words false, Madhusudan. Quite often, an unmarried girl is attracted to a man, as in the case of Amba. Having refuted everything Lord Krishna said, Srimati Rukmini, in a gracious frame of mind, now praises the truthfulness of his statements. In other words, she accepts that Lord Krishna used her as an example to elucidate ordinary female psychology. The king of Kashi had three daughters, Amba, Ambalika, and Ambika, and Amba was attracted to Shalva. This story is narrated in Mahabharata. and Amba being attracted to Shalva, and Bhishma went and kidnapped the three girls for marriage with Vichitravirya. And this was one of the reasons of big war and Bhishma losing his life, because Amba was not accepted by Shalva later on. She said, I don't want to marry Vichitravirya, I want to marry Bhishma. Bhishma said, I have taken a vow of brahmacharya, I cannot marry anybody. And I had kidnapped Amba on behalf of Vichitravirya, not for myself. Oh, it became a big problem. And then Amba did tapasya. She in fact pleased Parshuramji. And Parshuram, who's guru of Bhishma Deva, he came and he tried to tell Bhishma that you should marry Amba. Bhishma said no. And Parshuram said, then I have to fight. You have to fight with me. And they fought. And Bhishma defeated his own guru, Parshuram. But Bhishma said, no, I'm not going to marry her. And then later Amba did more tapasya and she was born as Shikhandi. And Shikhandi was on the chariot of Arjun, with Arjun, and hiding behind Shikhandi, Arjun shot arrows at Bhishma. When Bhishma was put down on the bed of arrows, because Bhishma put down his bow and arrows when he saw Shikhandi on the chariot of Arjun. Bhishma realized it was Amba, and he could not shoot arrows at a woman. I mean, it's all like jigsaw puzzle. It all comes together. But anyway, here Rukmini Devi is citing Amba's case. Vyulayaschapi punshalya mano abhyeti navam navam budho asatim na vibhriyata tam vibhrat ubhayachitaha. The mind of a promiscuous woman always hankers for new lovers, even if she is married. An intelligent man should not keep such an unchaste wife, for if he does, he will lose his good fortune, both in this life and the next. Why is Rukmini Devi saying that? Because she is saying, so I'm fixed in my service for you, and I'm completely attached to you. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha Sadhyete Shrotu Kamestvam Rajaputri Pralambita Mayoditam Yadan Vartha Sarvam Tat Satyameva Ihe. The Supreme Lord said, O saintly lady, O princess, we deceived you only because we wanted to hear you speak like this. Indeed, everything you said in reply to my words is most certainly true. Yan yan kamaya se kaman maya kamaya bhami santi he kanta bhaktayas tav kalyani nityada. Whatever benedictions you hope for in order to become free of material desires are ever yours, O fair and noble lady, for you are my unalloyed devotee. Upalabdham pati prema pati vratyam cha tene anage yadvakya shalya manaya na dhira maya karshita. O sinless one, I have now seen firsthand the pure love and chaste attachment you have for your husband. Even though shaken by my words, your mind could not be pulled away from me. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verse describing the pure love between Rukmini and Krishna. When the affectionate bond between a young man and a young woman can never be destroyed, even when there is every cause for the destruction of that relationship, the attachment between them is said to be pure love. This is the nature of the eternal loving affairs between Lord Krishna and his pure conjugal associates. So just like Gopi's love for Krishna just can never be destroyed, even though Krishna was away from them for so many years. Emam bhajanti dampatye tapsa vrat charayaya kamatmano apavargesham mohita mammayaya. Although I have the power to award spiritual liberation, lusty persons worship me with penance and vows in order to get my blessings for their mundane family life. Such persons are bewildered by my illusory energy. The word dampatya indicates a relationship between husband and wife. Lusty and bewildered persons worship the Supreme Lord to enhance this relationship, though they know he can free them from the useless attachment to temporary things. So, well, but by worshipping Krishna, even if we worship him for mundane family life matters, the way he deals with the devotees, he takes away all such attachments. That is the beauty of worshipping Krishna. Mam prape mananya pavarga sampadam vanchanti ye sampadev tattvatim te mandabhaga nirye apiye nranam Matratmakatva niraya susangama. O supreme reservoir of love, unfortunate are they who, even after obtaining me, the Lord of both liberation and material riches, hanker only after material treasures. These worldly gains can be found even in hell, since such persons are obsessed with sense gratification. Hell is a fitting place for them. It stands to reason that since Lord Krishna is the source of all pleasure and all opulence, he himself is the supreme pleasure and the most opulent. Therefore, our real self-interest is to always engage in the loving service of Lord Krishna. As Prahlad Maharaj says, Nati vidu svarthagatim hi Vishnu. The ignorant do not know that the actual self-interest lies in attaining the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one can easily obtain female association and other sense pleasures, even in hell. We have practical experience that even such creatures such as hogs, dogs, pigeons have ample opportunity to enjoy sex. It is unfortunate that modern human beings who have a golden opportunity to become Krishna conscious prefer to enjoy like dogs and cats. And this goes on, unfortunately, more unfortunately, because this goes on in the name of material progress. So people think if I'm not enjoying like dogs and cats and hogs, I'm not materially advanced. And other people don't respect him and don't honor him at all also. So the whole competition is how best we can enjoy like dogs and hogs. Dishtya griheshvarya, grih aishvarya sakrin maitvaya, kritana vrittir bhavamochani khala, sudushkaraso sutram durashisho, yansu bharaya nikritim jushastriya. Fortunately, O mistress of the house, you have always rendered me faithful devotional service, which liberates one from material existence. The service is very difficult for the envious to perform, especially for a woman whose intentions are wicked, who lives only to gratify her bodily demands, and who indulges in duplicity. Srila Jiva Goswami poses the following question. Since devotional service easily awards one liberation, isn't it possible that everyone will be liberated and the world will no longer exist? The great Acharyas answered that there is no such danger, since it is very difficult for envious, duplicitous, sensuous persons to faithfully serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is no shortage of such people in the world. Many times people ask this question, oh, what will happen if everybody becomes Krishna conscious? How will this world maintain or it will go on? So Prabhupada said, first of all, it's not going to happen that everybody becomes Krishna conscious. Never going to happen. And even if it happens, then it's a headache of the person who created this material world to make it run. It's not our headache. Natva drishim pranayinim grihinim griheshu pashyami manini yaya subhivaha kale praptan nripanna viganaya raho haro me prasthapito dvij upishrutta satkatasya. In all my palaces, I can find no other wife as loving as you, O most respectful one. When you were to be married, you disregarded all the kings who had assembled to seek your hand, and simply because you had heard authentic accounts concerning me, you sent a Brahman to me with your confidential message. Bhratur virupa karanam yudhi nirjitasya prodvaha parvani cha tad vadhamaksha goshtayam dukkham samuttham asaho asmad yog bhitya neva bravih kimapi tena vayam jitaste. When your brother, who had been defeated in the battle and then disfigured, was later killed during a gambling match on Aniruddha's wedding day, you felt unbearable grief, yet out of fear of losing me, you spoke not a word. By this silence, we have conquered me. So this thing happens in the next chapter. So somehow this Krishna Rukmini, Krishna teasing Rukmini happened after Aniruddha's wedding. But anyway, howsoever, Shukdev Goswami put the chapters or told us Bhagavatam. Here Lord Krishna refers to an event that will be described in the next chapter. This Krishna's talks with Rukmini must have taken place after the marriage of Aniruddha. दूतस्त्वयात्म लभने सुविविक्त मंत्रा प्रस्थापितो मयि चिरायति शून्यमेतत् मत्वा जिहासिदम् अंगमन अन्यो योग्यं तिष्ठेत तत्त्वयि वयं प्रतिनन्दयामः. When you sent the messenger with your most confidential plan and yet I delayed going to you, you began to see the whole world as void and wanted to quit your body, which could have never have been given to anyone but me. May this greatness of yours remain with you always. I can do nothing to reciprocate except joyfully thank you for your devotion. Srimati Rukmini Devi had no intention whatsoever of accepting any other husband but Lord Krishna, as she stated in her message to the Lord. If I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force, which will have become weak from the severe penances I will perform. Then after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. So the Srimad Bhagavatam firmly establishes the unique glories of Queen Rukmini Devi. So glorious. Shri Shukuvacha, Evam Saurata Sanlape, Bhagwan Jagadishvara, Swarato Ramya Reme, Nar Lokam Vidambayam. Shukdev Goswami said, and so the self-satisfied Supreme Lord of the universe enjoyed with the goddess of fortune, engaging her in thus imitating the ways of human society. The word Vidambayan means imitating and also ridiculing. The Lord acted like a husband of this world, but his pastimes are transcendental and expose the perverted nature of mundane activities aimed at godly sense gratification only. But he is engaged, these are all his sweet, very transcendental pastimes. Tathanya samapi vibhur, grihesu grihivaniva, astito grihimedhiyan, dharmana lok gurur harihi. The Almighty Lord Hari, preceptor of all the worlds, similarly behaved like a conventional householder in the palaces of his other queens, performing the religious duties of a family man. So all the palaces, 16,108 palaces with this, all the queens, he performed conventional householder duties. And that's why he's a perfect person. Householder also, he's a perfect. As a student, when he was in Gurukul, he was a perfect person. We have to know, we have to learn about his pastimes through acharyas. Then we understand his perfectness or his greatness. So thus ends the purpose to 10th canto, 60th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Krishna Teases Queen Rukmini. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Prabhuji, very common question. Why was he teasing Rukmini?
That came up that he wanted to bring out the anger in Rukmini Devi. Rukmini Devi never gets angry at Krishna. And as husband-wife, he wanted to bring out the anger, but instead of anger, she started glorifying him. And this is really devotion service. This is a quality of a devotee. They glorify Krishna always. And they themselves think we are nothing. Even Rukmini Devi is saying, I don't know, I'm just your humble servant. That's all. But you are glorious.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.